Hawaii, with its moderately tropical climate, is an ideal environment for big banyan trees, the Ficus bengalensis, to thrive and grow to extraordinarily large sizes. There are many on Liliuokalani's palace grounds, as well as her botanical garden on Oahu. Banyans also line the shoreline of the famous beach of Waikiki, including 3 beautiful specimens surrounding the statue of Mahatma Gandhi in Kapiolani Park. But no Hawaiian banyan tree is more famous than the one that was planted 152 years ago in the heart of the harbor town of Lahaina on the island of Maui. It is the largest banyan tree in the state, and its 2-acre canopy covers a full city block between Front and Hotel streets. The town of Lahaina has quite an interesting, colorful, and somewhat checkered history. In pre-Western contact times, Lahaina held a sacred and royal significance for the Hawaiian people. There were freshwater springs, rivers, fish ponds, irrigated taro fields, with the whole fertile area home to all kinds of fruit-bearing trees like ulu or breadfruit, guava, and coconut. Once the island chain was discovered by Captain Cook in 1778, many other Westerners with their own value systems soon arrived, including especially the whalers and the missionaries. King Kamehameha decided in 1802 to make Lahaina the capital of the Hawaiian Kingdom. By the mid-1800s, the town of Lahaina had a very unique blend of pure Hawaiians, Christian missionaries, and swashbuckling whalers rubbing shoulders on its narrow streets. The banyan tree has no important symbolic value in the Christian religion, except perhaps ficus leaves being the first set of clothing for Adam and Eve. Still, the Christian missionaries of India decided in 1872 to send a small shoot of a banyan tree on a wooden schooner to Lahaina because of its revered importance to the other religions of India, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. As a 9-year-old 4th grader, I knew none of this history when my mother moved my brother Rob and I to the island of Oahu in 1960. While our little family of 3 lived in Honolulu for 2 years, my mother loved to take us over to Maui to spend time in Lahaina, which in reflection I think was her favorite place in Hawaii. We would stay in an old wood hotel called Pioneer Inn, where many famous people of years gone by, like Mark Twain and Jack London, had stayed. We would eat banana pancakes with coconut syrup for breakfast, and my mom would have me climb under the shops along the boardwalk that cantilevered over the ocean to look for branches of black coral that she would make into flower arrangements that were discarded by the jewelry stores there. But most of the time, I spent my days in Lahaina climbing up the many trunks and branches of its magnificent banyan tree. Over our many visits, this amazing tree became not just a jungle gym, but a place of refuge for me, and even kind of a buddy or a friend. The tree exuded a radiant and magnetic energy that drew me in. I felt safe and joyfully happy in its embrace. So 60 years later, on Tuesday evening of August the 8th, 2023, while living on Oahu again, when I heard the news that Lahaina was burning and people were jumping into the sea to escape the conflagration, my heart turned to my old friend, rooted in the ground by the harbor, unable to run away. The wildfire completely engulfed the town of Lahaina, destroying almost all of the old wooden houses and shops, and killing 102 people, many trapped in their cars along Front Street by the banyan tree. The Pioneer Inn, which stood directly across Hotel Street from the banyan tree, was turned to ash. While there was little I could immediately do for the survivors of the fire, as a landscaper and general contractor, maybe I could at least try to save the banyan tree, which had been subjected to temperatures of 2,700 degrees. If the tree has a chance to survive, it needs water right now, I thought. By Thursday, I was able to secure from the mayor of Maui, Richard Bisson, permission to enter the cordoned-off fire zone of Lahaina and coordinated with another general contractor, Goodfellow Brothers, to spray 6 4,000-gallon loads of fresh water each day onto the shriveled and charred canopy of leaves that help to protect the inner trunks of the tree. For 2 months, we sprayed 24,000 gallons of water each day on this banyan tree to simulate the tree living in a damp rainforest instead of an arid desert of charcoal and ash. By Friday of that terrible week, I was able to contact the most renowned arborist in the state, Steve Nims, to get his advice on what we should be doing to try and save the banyan tree. He said that what we were doing with constantly raining water down on the tree was initially the very best thing we could do, because if the cambium layer just inside the outer bark was to dry up, the tree would surely die. Shortly after this phone call, I met Steve Nims in Lahaina and had him examine the whole tree with a man lift. Even though the sap was not flowing like it should, the white milky sap was still present.
Well, I'm gonna keep on going, but right now it's a little bit worse than I thought.
Yeah.
Because of the intense heat, the ground under the tree had become hydrophobic. So the first thing Mr. Nims wanted us to do was aerate the ground. Then he had us add this highly concentrated, nutrient-rich compost tea to the water we were applying on the tree to jumpstart the tree's recovery out of its current state of fire-induced shock. Mr. Nims also created an online forum for arborists around the world to weigh in on what other treatments the tree could receive to assist in its recovery. These arborists provided solar-powered sensors that could monitor the flow of sap in the tree's trunks and branches, and then transmit this information to GPS satellites, which could be studied by this global consortium of arborists.
And they basically measure the secondary growth of the tree, the expansion of the cambium as it goes, as it expands or contracts. And it's all wirelessly, it goes, to satellite information that can get back to, say, your phone or into the cloud and into your computer. It sort of measures the health of the tree. It's like a Fitbit for a tree.
This allowed the arborist to determine which branches or trunks should be selectively removed that were not going to survive, thereby directing the tree's life force to all the trunks and branches that had a chance. At this present time, 2 years later, the tree has done an amazing job of regenerating itself and now stands as a living symbol of hope and possibility for all the locals of Lahaina as this community goes through the long and difficult process of rebuilding. As a young child scampering around on the branches of Lahaina's majestic banyan tree, I had no idea of how much the peoples of the world revered banyans. From India to Japan to the Philippines to Vietnam to Madagascar to Guam, the banyan has been held in high regard by the indigenous people of these various cultures. 3 years after India's independence, the banyan tree was declared the Tree of India. In northern India, there is a festival called Vat Purnima, dedicated to the banyan tree. In Gujarat, there is a 550-year-old banyan on a small island in the Narmada River that is said to have grown from a discarded toothpick by the great mystic poet Kabir. One of the largest banyan trees in the world, covering over 4.5 acres, is located on the grounds of the Theosophical Organization in Adyar, South India. But the record for the largest banyan tree in the world goes to Timamaman Marimanu, which is 4.7 acres in size in the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh, and has been recorded to provide shelter from the sun for over 20,000 people at one time. Through my adult years, having studied the many religious and philosophical traditions of humanity, I have deepened my appreciation of the banyan tree as a symbol of universal unity and spiritual wisdom. The banyan's central trunk could be seen to represent the storehouse of all mankind's wisdom, the Gupta Vidya, the Philosophia Perennis, or Theosophia. And all its auxiliary trunks could be likened to the many religions, philosophies, and sciences which mankind has developed over the millennia. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks of the banyan as the Ashwata world tree, with its roots above and its branches below. Wandering mendicants, sages who had renounced their material ties to the world, known as sannyasins or gurus, would often sit at the base of banyan trees to deliver their oral teachings. It was under the cooling shade of a banyan tree that the great Guru of Gurus, Dakshinamurti, imparted his wisdom. As Sri Shankaracharya writes, "I bow down to Dakshinamurti, Lord and teacher of all three worlds, who dexterously cuts asunder the painful shackles of birth and death, and who is to be deeply contemplated. Oh, the wondrous splendor beneath the banyan tree. There sits Guru Deva, a youth. The disciples are elders. The teaching is silence, and all doubts are dispelled." The banyan tree of Lahaina is part of a family and lineage of great trees that have inspired the deeper aspirations of human beings throughout the ages. Lahaina's banyan has not only survived an unbelievable trial of fire, but is now flourishing again. May its renewal, its rebirth, its regeneration be a positive symbol of potential and possibility for the community of Maui, and unlimited hopefulness for all people throughout the world living during these turbulent times.